Hey everyone, it's Mr. Meyer with The Fire. Wanted to make a quick video about something near and dear to my heart. Devoting to Santa Muerte is not easy because devoting to death means devoting to life. And devotion to any spirit or deity or saint only goes as far as your devotion to yourself. And death brings finite end. So if you are the I don't like change type of person, I'm telling you this path is not for you right now, okay? So this video was brought to you by the Divine Mother herself with tons of love. I have tons of notes. It's really like front and back one page. A stream of consciousness that I received in my meditation planning this video. I'll pull some of the cards. I'm gonna share some resources, some books, and get you guys on your way. This video, I intend to answer some questions like, who is Santa Muerte? Why should you devote to her? Is it dangerous? Why would someone be brought to this path? Is there anyone else you could call instead? Does this relate to the left-hand path? When can you start? You know, more dangerous, etc. So while Santa Muerte will accept basically anybody, she appreciates very earnest giving that reflects your true capabilities. And if I couldn't be more clear, what I'm saying is devoting to Santa Muerte means devoting to yourself. All right? Less of the latter makes the former hollow and empty. It's like that old adage, you can't pour from an empty cup. Like, what does it matter what we give to others if we're unwilling to give to ourselves? So Santa Muerte, Santissima, is a syncretic spirit, deity or saint, meaning basically a mixture. Her roots do trace back to ancient Mexico, but honestly, her spirit is so much older and so much more vast. She is the female personification of death. So death is the opposite of birth, antithetical to life, but intrinsically codependent. So effectively, by creating this image, we get to glimpse into the supernatural powers of spirit, of death, and we're allowed to interface with them through the beautiful skeleton woman. And it's debatable how you should interpret this. And there's a concept I want to share called the diamond of divinity. This has really helped me a lot. So keeping in mind that a spirit or a deity or a saint, it could be viewed as personal or transpersonal, subjective, objective, sentient, corporeal, or it could be the unmanifest collective consciousness. It really does help to draw a map and start to get distinguishing between the different ways that this energy is actually experienced. So effectively, I'm talking about archetypes. The diamond of divinity is a really cool metaphor. Like if you had a diamond or some gem that had like a face and facets and cuts, you could look at it from different directions. And let's say the front end was Santa Muerte, but on the other side, you could look at the other death deities that exist all over the world, like Kronos, Saturn, Ereshkigal, Hades, Pluto. There may be some overlap. So what we're effectively talking about is a spirit that really is the animation of the death energy. So it's intrinsically linked with life everywhere, has a sense of omnipotence and omnipresence as well. Supernatural powers. So what I'm trying to say basically is death has a lot of faces around the world. And one thing you will come to realize if you do take Santissima on as a guide or a mother, that there's a lot of other spirits out here and she can help you connect with some of them. So I have like a 4-step framework, how to become a devotee. It's very simple, just to keep it short and sweet. Number 1, you commit to live your life to the fullest. As we'll get into later, people can be drawn to this path for a multitude of reasons, but number 1, if you're going to be a devotee, based on everything we've just talked about, you have to commit yourself to yourself. So your devotion to spirit doesn't have some emptiness or some hollowness to it. You work on living your life to the fullest. That is the best gift you could give to the mother of death. So number 2 is what's called preparatory immersion. This is recommended for any spirit you want to get started working with. Preparatory immersion, which means you put yourself into that world. You can get into books, you can watch videos like this one. You could talk to other devotees and have their experiences. This one is probably the best, Devoted to Death by Andrew Chestnut. This one is more scholarly, it's got good history, it's very practical, well written, super good book. This one by Thomas Prower, I also recommend, La Santa Muerte. This one is very witchy. You know, it's published by Llewellyn, so it's gonna give you the history. It's a good comprehensive book. Prayers, spells, offerings, meditations, correspondences, and it even offers a good primer for witchcraft in general. If you're new to, you know, manifestation, energy work, or spirit work, that's also a really good one. And this one by Cressida Stone, The Secrets of Santa Muerte, this one is one of my favorites. I really like. It offers good history. It talks about the different versions. Who is she? Why would you want to work with her? Plenty of rituals, a lot of really good prayers, a prayer for everything in this book. I love this book so much. And that's not a definitive list. There's probably hundreds of books at this point. And really, I think books are also kind of spiritual. So if a book calls to you, you know, check it out. There's tarot decks, there's oracle decks. There's a lot of ways to, you know, connect with her through media. So number 3, because I said it's a 4-part framework. Okay, number 3 is creating a sacred space. All right, and that looks like an altar or time in a location where you can connect. Some people may not be able to have an altar, which is totally okay. So that's why you'll see like even tiny little figurines or people getting tattoos or jewelry, ways to bring her energy into their daily life. You want to be able to carve out time and space to be able to connect with the Divine Mother. Sacred space. A lot of the books will say that Santa Muerte does not like to share a altar with other spirits. I think it's not impossible for her to be on an altar with other spirits, but in my experience, she definitely appreciates having her own altar, her own space. It's not necessary to have a statue, but it helps. Even if you don't have a statue, a picture could be good. But like I said, even if that's not possible for you because you can't put an altar up in your physical space, you can still hold her in your heart and in your mind and talk to her. So number 4, the last part of the process to become a devotee is you just invite her in. You ask for her help. You call on her spirit with your voice. You express your devotion, and very important, you keep your word. When you say something, you do it. Relationships with spirit work a lot like relationships with other humans, guys. So your best bet is to come with respect and honor and love and be honest, all right? So I'm gonna rewind and just repeat it. Commit to live your life to the fullest. Because fam, it's like you just wanna, on the note of respect, if you're not trying to integrate the supernatural powers of death in your life, you know, that's just foolish. And you got no business doing it. But number 2, preparatory immersion is also a form of respect, rather than just coming to somebody that you don't know and trying to push on spirit like a vending machine. It's good to get someone's history and their background and learn where they come from and how you can relate to them. Because if you also think about death as a spirit, that's arguably not able to take life. Or when I say take life, basically that's participating in the cycle of death, rebirth, right? So if you were the spirit of death, you would be so much older. Time would almost not even hit the same, right? The wisdom and the knowledge that comes with that perception of the world, to be the one, like you can put yourself in this consciousness through invocation or evocation. I'm going to say invocation again. Both are correct, but invocation is really what I mean. Bringing Santissima's energy into your vessel, projecting your consciousness into hers, either way you want to see it, will help you take on that wisdom of the bornless one. The one who brought, destruction is part of creation. I think we all can kind of see this, but that's the crazy thing about her consciousness, is her ability to destroy things. It was really important for me to write down and include in the notes, guys, that Santissima can give us what we ask for. So it really is best to focus on integrity when you work with her. And consider the white robe version if you're new to the path, because color has vibration. Depending on which aspects of her, you might get a different energy. And also certain postures of statues could give a different energy, or certain pictures could give a different energy. Like I said, there's this debate on whether or not she's a real entity or a spirit, or if she's some manifestation of our mind and imagination. I think there's some overlap in truth to potentially both. But there's no telling what you could call forth if the power is supernatural. So I'm going to rewind and go over a couple of these questions just to make sure I cover what I intended to do. Because ultimately, gang, if you feel called to devote to her and you're watching this video, you probably already devoted or you're about to. And you've been getting signs to look into this and to consider opening yourself up. So who is she? She's the female personification of death. And she's a syncretic deity, spirit, or saint, meaning she's kind of evolved in our minds and consciousness from a plethora of places and energies, but her history really does stem from Mexico and, the Aztec and Incan roots, and potentially even beyond that. So why should you devote to her? I was called to write that question down. Honestly, I can't tell you whether you should or you shouldn't, but if you feel called to do it, she's a great ally. It's arguable we're gonna meet her at some point. Everybody has to see her when they transition. But supernatural powers, the protection, the miracles. Is this dangerous? Is another question. Yeah, but so is going outside. So is breathing air. I feel safe personally with the Queen, but another question I have is, why would someone be brought to the path? For a multitude of reasons. It could be sheer curiosity. A lot of people are brought to her in desperation. That's how I was brought to her, I'll tell you. Many people are cast out and ostracized, and maybe they're failed by society, or they're judged by the church, or one group or another. And the people that can't fit in, man, she accepts everybody with open arms. I have to say basically everybody, because, I don't have the full scope of her consciousness, but 9 times out of 10, people who have nowhere else to go, they find themselves going to Santa Muerte. Why would someone be brought to this path? It could be desperation, could be curiosity, it could be enlightenment, more spiritual fulfillment. They might be seeking power. Correspondence is a really important thing, guys, because if you think about that diamond of divinity, Santa Muerte is effectively the energy of Saturn, the reaper, the scythe, the sickle, time, decay, the end, the finitude. So Saturn has a lot to say, fam. I'm telling you, because she's so wise, if you start talking to her, of course, she'll point you to her books and help you understand where she comes from, but she'll point you to the other books that you need to understand. And if you really are devoting to Santa Muerte, that means devoting to yourself, which means being your best version. And self-knowledge is going to be super important on that path. So if you have not taken the time to look into your astrology and your Saturn placement, understand really the responsibilities that are given to you in your life, it is going to be really hard to be as effective as you possibly could be and be the best devotee you can be too. So self-mastery is part of this path. I'm telling you, gang. self-mastery. Santissima wants her children to be happy. She wants them to be fulfilled. And you choose how hard you want your life to be. But one thing that you'll see consistent along a lot of devotees' experiences, Santissima doesn't have patience for willful ignorance, for having her time wasted, for lies, okay? So that's why it's really important to consider the white robe first and focus on purification and healing and release. And again, integrity as you do this work with her. So what does Saturn have to do with this? Hopefully I made some sense of that, but Saturn really does deal with the life that you are given, the restrictions that you experience, and the fears that you have about your life as well. Saturn shows what our true obligations are in this world, and it leads us to the path of maturity and responsibility. So Saturn has a lot to do with this, fam, because if we, you know what they say is, with great power coming great responsibility. So that's what this is about, is that if you start knocking on this door, on the crone mother, you hit that thing 3 times, fam, you know, there's a lot of power, and you better not come with some bullshit, is all I'm saying. What are we using it for? Are we directing it towards unity, harmony, peace? Or are we trying to use it for selfish ends? There's nothing wrong with fulfilling your desires. That's kind of what life is about. But at the end of the day, fam, at the expense of others' well-being, that's not okay. You know, we'll have to pay for that later. Like I said, fam, she can give us what we want, and she can't protect us necessarily from what we ask for, you know? Sometimes she may have the grace to do that, but that's why it's important to consider really what are your intentions for being a devotee? What does it mean to you? And to build a relationship with her. Is there anyone else you could call instead? 100%, gang. I'm telling you. You know, she is very intimidating for a lot of people. I've seen it's just not the... For some, she's very inviting, but, you know, for some, they may kind of have an apprehension at first. There's so many spirits that you can work with. Everybody has their own spirit guides. Nobody really walks alone in this life, guys. There's angels, there's ancestor spirits, guardian angels. You can pray to the concept of the universe too. There's so many things you can really, you know, reach out for. But if you feel called, absolutely. So does this relate to the right-hand path? Or the left-hand path? This is a question that I've got in my meditation to really go over. And I think it does. The left-hand path is the left side of the tree of life. And I'm going to show it to you as I tell you about it, just so you see what I'm saying. The reality map, you know. You probably want to look into this as well. So we have left, middle, and right. This is the astrology. This is the tarot. This is, you know, manifest creation. Saturn is on the left-hand path of severity. So you're working with Santa Muerte. You're working with the power of death and destruction. Yes, this deals with the path of severity and basically will and intention and freedom. So what's important to know about that is, you know, it's again wielding power, needing responsibility. Hope I don't sound like a broken record, but 100%. It's important to understand that, you know, when you embark on this journey, you effectively are stepping into an open field. Some of the rules, the regulations, the obedience and law of the right-hand path, it may not necessarily apply. But at the same time, that path exists for a reason. So you don't want to, again, use this power only to selfish ends, because honestly, Flaquita probably not going to let you do that in the first place. When you are devoted to life and you are a conscientious person and generous and willing to give, I've seen that she does like to bless her kids. But if you're a shithead, fam, you know, it's like, think about it from the perspective if you were a mom. It's like you'd like to see all your kids blessed, but if one of your kids is being a dickhead and like bullying your other kids and shit, it's like, no. Fam, we are a family. What the fuck? All right. When can you start? You can start right now, fam. You can start right now. Will you offend her? Probably not if you come with respect and try your best and are accountable and willing to learn and change. But we all make mistakes, so chances are you might offend her on accident. But just be willing to apologize and really mean it and change your behavior. I'm gonna pull a couple cards. I'm thinking maybe a good 7 cards. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a 7 in the middle. And do this little reading. But if you are receiving the call, if you're still watching this video, I want to tell you, you'll know in your stomach, you'll know in your soul, if you are being called. A lot of witches and magicians and master manifestors, they get called to her path because she's got this power, and she's like, yo, fam, if someone is already devoted to their life, fam, you know, that could be one of the biggest reasons for her to call out and reach to someone and say, yo, let's work. So we've got the Ace of Wands, manifesting your will. That's the beautiful thing about her, fam. It's like, you know, if someone is in a position for any fucking reason why they would reach out to the embodied power of death, fam, it's like what I'm getting with the Ace of Wands, she doesn't hold back too much, fam. So yeah, just be conscious of what the fuck you're asking for. Santissima, thank you for letting me make this video, and just may all of our devotees be blessed. So I got the Knight of Swords in reverse. And the conversation here tells me that she could offer such a sacred space, such a deep space. You know, we're all going to transition at some point. So this deep void and this non-being that we all have access to conceptually, like interfacing with this deity, this spirit, this saint, it can really bring us some powerful transformation. You know, this is the sphere of Saturn on the tree. You know, so this sphere has a lot to do. This has higher access than most of the physical world, gang. That's all I'm trying to say. So miracles can really come from this power. And one of the miracles of working with her is realizing who you are on a deeper level, understanding what motivates you, where your desires really are. I'm seeing the Nine of Swords in reverse. So cruelty is something a lot of people experience. Injustice, people need protection, and they have nowhere else to get it from. You know, she shows out for her kids. I'm gonna do 3 more and then 1 on top. So I'm gonna repeat the framework, man, not to make myself sound like a broken record, but just to really drill this while I got you guys on my video. 4 steps: commit to live your life to the fullest. Preparatory immersion, sacred space, invite her in, ask for help, all right? And then express your devotion. Seriously, it's really that simple. The Lover's Path came out here, gang, and I'm telling you, the Lover's Path is right here between Saturn and the Sun. So Santissima will help you with the alchemical process. That's what this literally says. Ace of Wands with the Lovers. And again, there's many different versions, like the red and the blue and the black and the pink and the white and all that, you know, different aspects of her. It makes her happy to see love, for her devotees to be happy. And that's the beauty of it, you know. But the Lover's Path is deeper than just interpersonal relationships. It's also about our personal relationship with ourselves, being in love with ourselves. So we got strength. We got the King of Cups out here too. So what else to be said besides to help us, you know, be strong and be loved and to be loving. Last card is the Judgment card, fam. I'm telling you, it's like, it's a weird type of power that exists on the table for some to take, should they feel daring enough. And that's what I got for you. You'll know inside of yourself if you need to make the call. Take care. Be well. Walk in peace. Devote to yourself. And live well.